Hello race fans, welcome back to the NASCAR Vernors Cup Series. We're in for a very exciting race here today. Last time out we saw Joe Biden win and extend his points lead out to nearly a whole race now over Marco Polo, if I remember correctly. But this week we go to our second road course race of the year. This is Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the Canadian National 350K. Before we go any further, we got to go through your starting lineup. 2018 Series Champion Richard Simmons starts on the front row along with your pole sitter for today's race. It's Woody Harrelson, as David Dayton apparently doesn't really want to race today. Guess he's not feeling it. Harrison Ford will line up next to Hut Strickland, who still hasn't won a race. I think Harrelson has either. He might have won one. Kathy Bates and Morgan Freeman. Freeman hasn't won since, I believe, Michigan last year. So it's been a while. Someone else doesn't want to race today, apparently. Row 4 is Jerry Springer and Crow T Robot. And then it's Walter White and Blaze Alexander rounding out your top 10. Ian Anderson, who's making a big charge up to the points, will start next to John Cena. Hank Hill, he's going to line up next to Iggy Koopa. Then it's Alfred Hitchcock, who won this race last year, starting next to Marco Polo, who's second in points. Casper the Friendly Ghost, who's back in the field this week. He'll start next to Bob Ross. He's bringing out the blue light special for the first time in a few races. And Donald Fagen will line up next to Tom Jones. Jeff Lynne and points leader Joe Biden will start in the 11th row. Then it's Telly Savalas and Billy Mays. Stephen George will line up next to Peter Perfect, who's actually in the Turbo Terrific this week. Then Woody Woodpecker and Carl Edwards. Rounding out the top 30 will be Al Roker and David Dayton. Tom Hanks will line up next to Al Capone. Capone's still looking for that first career win. Brendan Gaughan will line up next to Brian Wilson. Then Snoop Dogg will be next to Denzel Washington. Bela Fleck starting next to Burt Reynolds. And Geddy Lee starting in 40th because, of course, there's always has to be one of the Rush Fender racing cars starting towards the back. He'll start next to Rick Scott, who surprisingly did not qualify better. Rounding out the field, Chick Corea, who's had a tough season just qualifying in the races. And Count Dracula. Dracula 35th in points. James Bond was putting on the pressure but missed this race along with someone else. Grover Cleveland, of course. Anyway, also missing all three of the part-time drivers who try to make the field. Pastor Maldonado, Taron Edgerton, Tib Foster, all missed. Probably going to be a decently big entry list next weekend at Pocono. I'd be surprised if that entry list doesn't hit 50 cars. Anyway, we got to go trackside north of the border for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
There we go. Engines are firing on all 42 machines here. You can see a lot of Castrol signage. Michelin. Why is Michelin... Oh, wait, no. Canadian Tire is like a discount tire. That's right. Why is Michigan and Continental Michelin and Wolf Michelin and Continental Tire? Wow. 42 cars. Gonna come towards front stretch to start this race as they head towards White's corner. The last 2 days have seen some pretty interesting and odd races here. Woody Harrelson and Richard Simmons lead us down, and we're green at Mosport. Harrelson was the leader in the turn one, but look at Richard Simmons as we go through the second turn. It's Clayton Corner now to Quebec. He had the spot. Now through Quebec, Harrelson is back on the move. Look at Hut Strickland coming. What a crazy scenario it would be if Hut Strickland would finally win and it would come in Canada. As he's going to the inside, I think, yeah, he's going to get by Richard Simmons for second. Now here comes Harrison Ford trying to get back to third. As Woody Harrelson's trying to get, I believe, Pontiac their first win of the year. Let me just double check my sheet. Can confirm, yes, so far they have no winners this year. Hut Strickland in second. Looking to get DeAndre Levy Racing a win. He's in the decaf car this week. Let's hope the green doesn't give him bad luck. A lot of special schemes, actually. The Habitat for Humanity car is what Morgan Freeman's running. And was that the Coca-Cola Polar Bear car that Snoop Dogg was in? Yes. Pontiac leads 2 Fords, a Chevy, another Ford, a Chevy, a Pontiac. Oh, another Pontiac. Wow! And a Ford. And then our first Dodge. 3 Pontiacs in the top. I believe all the Pontiacs, I believe all 6 qualified for this race. With Chick Corea, and yes, Snoop Dogg towards the back. And yes, all 6 Pontiacs qualified for this event. So we see Hut Strickland, who's never been the greatest at road courses, getting hounded by Harrison Ford. I don't think Ford's won on a road course either. Woody Harrelson, where did he get his win? I believe his one win in the Melling Series was at Watkins Glen. Then after that, I think if you want to find someone who's actually won on a road course somewhere, I think Alfred Hitchcock, who's in 20th. Not a lot of road course drivers towards the front of the pack. Harrison Ford has made it in the third, but getting challenged by Richard Simmons as Crow T Robot tries to get around Kathy Bates. And Hut Strickland just ran his fastest lap of the race. Oh, one car onto the grass a little bit. That was Stephen Hawk. Brian Wilson. Caution is out, actually. Jerry Springer and Morgan Freeman got together? Looks like it. Oh! He went off track and... Was the caution already out? Why was the guy displaying the flag? No, that was for Freeman and Springer. Anyway, Woody Harrelson is going to be your race leader as we come back, and this should lead to some interesting pit strategy. Let's allow Hut Strickland another crack at him, or could allow Harrison Ford a crack. Looks like those drivers had already taken the yellow. They are both out of the race already. Ooh. Oh, stack up under the yellow. Oh, Carl Edwards gets turned. Denzel Washington, Snoop Dogg, Chick Corea, Geddy Lee. What a mess. Rick Scott. What a mess under the yellow here. Geddy Lee, Snoop Dogg, Denzel Washington. I think Lee was towards the top of the points table. This could have this has championship implications. Tom Hanks. Carl Edwards, who's just trying to get the 94 locked in by the end of the year at this point. But generally speaking, since caution periods generally seem to be about 2 laps on road courses, sometimes 3 in odd circumstances, we should get going on lap 7. So that's with 20 to go. And it should be very interesting. These guys technically... So we should see pit stops. And we're not. Oh, we are seeing some. I think some of these damaged cars are. I'm surprised the rest of the field is not. Unless they can think they can make it on one stop. As 27, Chick Corea and Tom Hanks both out of this event. Geddy Lee, Snoop Dogg, Denzel Washington still getting towed back. Mainly damage. I'm surprised no fuel. A lot of big surprises here so far in the early stages of the Canadian National 350K. Pace car lights should be going off here soon. There they go. They're off here at Moss. Woody Harrelson, Hut Strickland, Harrison Ford, Richard Simmons, Crow T. Robot, Kathy Bates, Walter White, Ian Anderson, Iggy Koopa, and John Cena, your top 10. Joe Biden back in 23rd position. Still getting towed back, Geddy Lee, Snoop Dogg, and Denzel Washington. All getting towed back to the pits. Got a feeling all three of these guys, their day is done for. We'll be going back green here with 20 to go. Denzel Washington takes it. He's going to retire. Geddy Lee as well. Snoop Dogg. They're all done. "35 cars left in this event. 2 taken out in the accident, brought out the yellow, and one, and the other 5 in what? Yellow. Hut Strickland hung out to dry on the restart. As here comes, as he is now the meat in a champion sandwich. Richard Simmons and Harrison Ford. Simmons behind, Ford ahead. But it is Woody Harrelson still leading at the moment. Now this should be the interesting spot. Cars multi-wide, as you can see some of these drivers trying to pick up time. Oh, my bad. Brendan Gaughan, it looks like, going onto the grass. It's a terrible race for Logan Cloud Motorsports. Hut Strickland just really did not get a good drive out of Moss. So we look at the field as they hit White's corner after the S's. We see Steven George went down pit road at some point. Pulled the hood right off of that Renault number 85. Legitimately surprised none of these drivers attempted to put on fresh rubber. Now those guys towards the front, they want to play the track position game, I understand, but a guy like Steven George, who just repaired damage, he might as well have bolted on 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. Actually, no. He might as well not have, because he runs Pirellis. Forget Tire Wars is a thing. I'm not sure if anybody's running Hoosiers this year, and the only time you see General Tire show up is when Francis Brown shows up. We take a look through the field. We can see Hut Strickland has managed to get away from Richard Simmons, trying to close back into Harrison Ford here. As we also see Bela Fleck has taken the hood off of his Toyota. Another damage repair stop. Lost your best passing opportunity. Joe Biden back to 26th spot. Oh! And Brian Wilson nearly got a fender alongside of him. He's not going to take the points lead, far from it, but Ian Anderson is going to close in that points lead gap at the moment. Oh, as we got RG Bargy for 5th between Walter White and Crow T Robot. And of the entire top 10 or so, 10 to 12, the fastest car that time by was the 90 of Hut Strickland. This is one of the battles we are watching intently. Count Dracula started this race in last. He's running at 30th. It's not a terrible day for him, considering where he was. Ian Anderson could get up in this battle for 5th. Seems like a 4-car breakaway because of this. Spread out 4 cars, but still 4 cars. Harrelson, Ford, Strickland, and Simmons. And say either Strickland is just really slow this lap. I think he is just slow. 10 laps complete in the books here, yes. And Joe Biden will get back a spot from Al Roker. As 3 of the 5 Rush Fender cars are outside the top 25, if you wanted to know how bad their race is going. But of course, they got a guy in 2nd at the moment. The question remains, when should we expect to see these guys in for a pit stop? They must think they can make it on one stop, otherwise they would have likely had come down under that yellow. Through the S's and into whites. As Strickland has fallen way off the mat. Donald Fagan going for 9th on Iggy Koopa. Everyone bypassing pit road once again. Woody Harrelson is flying out there. Meanwhile, Hut Strickland just lost another half a second on the top 2. Harrison Ford looking for, I believe, his first win on a road course race. Woody Harrelson looking for his first win in the NASCAR Vernors Cup Series and the first win for CGI Industries. Didn't have a lot of luck with Fords 2 years ago. They switched to Pontiac. Well, winning, that is. Switched to Pontiac, and that didn't give them luck, so they switched drivers as Casper the Friendly Ghost went to Red Bull. Oh! A bad lap for Harrison Ford. He was a second off the pace of Hut Strickland. Okay, .995. When they hit the line this time by, they'll be halfway. Strickland lost second on the restart for Harrison Ford, but has he just been saving his tires the whole time? Strickland all over the back bumper of the 97 as they head to Moss. Perfect time to attack, but Strickland runs it slightly wide. And now here comes Richard Simmons trying to make a pass. This will hurt Strickland, as he might, unless he's able to outbrake Simmons, he might end up losing third. Despite having his biggest opportunity yet. No! Simmons nearly runs it wide. Oh, Harrelson, what are you doing? Hut Strickland. What? Did they both miss pit lane? I think they needed the pit and missed it. Hut Strickland off pace, so is Woody Harrelson. Caution is out as more stupidity happens. Why? They missed their pit. Oh. Oh, all his thoughts of strategy out the window. And Harrison Ford has been gifted the race lead. Walter White in the third. And Joe Biden somehow is down the 27th, but is probably gaining ground. Oh yeah! Harrelson didn't take the yellow yet. Neither did Strickland, I don't think. So they're going to try to pass these guys who are not quite going at full speed. This should be very interesting. This race is a mess. Oh, Lord. Well, Hut Strickland's down to 35th and Woody Harrelson's down to 32nd after chaos. They just blew pit lane. In the process, they blew my mind. Unbelievable. Like, I cannot fathom what is going on right now. Oh, this is gonna kill Hut Strickland's championship hopes. He was the points leader, close to it at one point. He was down to 14th entering this race. I cannot imagine how many points he's gonna lose today. And Joe Biden's back in the top 25 because of this. Ian Anderson is 5th. Now it looks like everybody's motioning the pit. And indeed, that's what it looks like. Harrison Ford leads the entire field down. Let's see. Fagan's really the first driver to even reach a stall. Interesting strategy calls all around. Look at Carl. What is Carl doing? Oh, gas and go or something. No! Carl didn't even hit his stall. Oh, Earth! And what is going on with Kathy Bates? Oh, let's see what happened. Oh, Hut Strickland was trying to several... A messy race. Harrison Ford, your leader. Walter White's going to be second. Carl Edwards third, but did he even pit? Ian Anderson fourth. Simmons fifth. Denigi Koopa, Donald Fagan, Crow, John Cena, and Bob Ross. I don't know what David Dayton and Peter Perfect are doing. Same with Woody Harrelson and Stephen George. Kathy Bates still on pit road for some reason. There's Carl. Yeah, he didn't even make his stall. He's going to have to come down the pit lane. He pit but didn't even get any service. Why? What is going on with this race? Green flag is back out in the air. Nobody knows anything anymore. There's 10 to go. Big brain strategy is, look, Kathy Bates, is she just getting towed around the track or something stupid? I don't know. What I do know is Walter White is second, Ian Anderson third. And Joe Biden's back in 28th. Well, technically 27th. Hut Strickland trying to make his way through the field. The 8, the 3, and the 10 fighting out for second. Oh, more interesting developments. The 43 is blowing up. Alfred Hitchcock comes to pit road. Here comes Woody Harrelson. Whoa, Burt Reynolds! Oh, him and Hut Strickland got together. Oh, and Burt Reynolds rolled it. Some unidentified problem with Woody Harrelson or something? I don't know. Nobody knows at this point. No service. Kathy Bates is still going around. 32 cars on the lead lap, loosely speaking. Eight to go. Harrison Ford leads. I swear, each race, they keep getting weirder and weirder yet. More interesting. Kathy Bates. As Kathy Bates comes out on the track, no changes made. She's going to slow up everybody from 14th on back. Ian Anderson now the fastest car around. Unbelievable. I cannot believe this race. I cannot. I just can't. Coming to 7 to go. Ian Anderson had just ran the fastest lap of the race last time by. This time by, he loses ground on Harrison Ford. Who's going to come down the pit road or have a problem this lap? I don't know, but there's a huge wad of cars. And of course, Kathy Bates is at the center of it all. Harrison Ford gift-wrapped this race after Woody Harrelson and Hut Strickland blew it coming the pit road. Oh, man. Was he necessarily gift-wrapped it? Well, Ian Anderson didn't do himself any favors. Here comes Walter White. He's going to zoom to the inside as we come up on 6 laps to go here in the Canadian Tire 350K. By side, Anderson driving it hard in on the outside. Walter White's going to clear off the corner and take second place. Anderson washing up the track yet again. Richardson, there's Crow. Holding down the fort in 5th. Donald Fagan having a great race. Hut Strickland with maybe a hope at catching these guys ahead of him. Probably won't have time to pass them. Woody Harrelson and Carl Edwards would need a caution. And they need it soon because we're getting out of time. There are 6 laps left in this race. Five to go for Harrison Ford. One of the oddest races I've ever been privy to. Dude, I thought half the back half of the grid disappeared for a second. No, I'm just an idiot. Joe Biden. Probably going to see his points lead cut to like 30 by the end of this race. Oh, what happened to Richard Simmons? He got damaged some point during this race. Oh, I think it was on pit road. My bad. 4 to go now for Harrison Ford. Walter White and Ian Anderson have been trying to reel him in, and they've been doing so slowly, but it might not be fast enough. Caution comes out now, depending on how long they decide, on what they decide to do. The race would end under yellow. Some of the guys just getting into some of their fastest laps of the day, despite being the end of a run. There's Hut Strickland. Crazy set of circumstances that has just changed the outcome of this race. Coming to 3 laps to go. This is the best battle on track right now, is for 9th between teammates Tom Jones and John Cena. Somebody off? No, I'm just crazy. Some people are pitting here with coming to 3 to go. Marco Polo and Al Roker are in. Telly Savalas. Rick Scott. Oh, that adds another wrinkle to this whole race. Can anybody make it? They're not. They're just going for fuel-only stops. Oh, another wrinkle has been added into this. Dude, what? Everybody has to come down of the people who pitted when they normally had to. Oh! Two and a half laps to go. Walter White keeps catching him. Walter White might be able to run him down. He might run out of time. But they'll come to 2 laps to go. The gap decreased by a single thousandth of a second. I don't see any. Oh, Casper the Friendly Ghost is going to come in. Interesting. Some of these guys came out around where Woody Harrelson and Carl Edwards are. I think some of these people tried to gamble by taking less fuel on the last stop. Now we're paying the price. Meanwhile, Walter White is screaming down the back of the 97. A lap and a half left in this race. Splash of fuel for the 84. Oh, no, it was bad exit out of Moss for Walter White. Harrison Ford just needs to go one more lap. Heads through the S's. we have anybody else coming down pit road? No, it doesn't look like it. Not yet. White flag out for Harrison Ford. Leaders through Clayton for the last time. Now to Quebec. And it was a very good lap by Harrison Ford, who extended his lead by little over a fifth of a second. Oh, that looked like... Yes, that did. Walter White's right on the back bumper. We got only a handful of corners to go. They're side by side. Walter White looking to take the win on a last lap lead change at a road course. 3 corners to go, and Walter White looks to clear going into the S's. They nearly make contact. White leads in the 9. Now in the 10, a shocker for the Rush Fender Racing group, but celebration for Walter White as he gives Pontiac their first win of 2020. Rest of the field all coming in. Oh, and Hut Strickland's going to at least salvage 25th. He got to the back of the 44. Walter White capitalized on. Harrison Ford got a little bit too complacent. Just sat there and blew the corner. Blew Moss. Got the momentum going down the Mario Andretti straightaway and took the win. Pontiac has won. Pontiac has won. Ladies and gentlemen, Pontiac has won a race this year. Unbelievable. Oh, and they miss. Everybody's missing pit road. No, Donald Fagan actually made it. What is going on? Everybody missing pit. Oh! Kathy Bates just slams it. Brendan gone. Now everybody's slow trying to figure out where to go. Joe Biden just almost runs into the attenuator. Bela Fleck, what are you doing? Oh, he's just going to blow by the attenuator. Chaos and confusion here at the end of the race. Look at this. Caution is out. And something happened to Brian Wilson. I don't know. I guess he thought he was in pit road. Tried to go to his pit stop. Yes. Wow. A very weird way for this race to finish, as you could see. That's about the only... That's the only way... Yeah, that's... a microcosm of this race. Holy Lord. As you can hear the sounds of metal screeching. What did I just say? You can hear the sounds of metal screeching. An absolutely weird finish to this race. There's your bottom, guys. Morgan Free, Snoop Dogg, both of the Virgil Tibbs racing cars. Terrible day for that team. But it's Harrison Ford who loses out as Walter White wins. Okay, that good. That was. Now we got to figure out the new standings. I'm not even sure I want to know. This might be painful to look at. Joe Biden. Now, Woody. What? Oh no, because Woody Woodpecker was the one in second, not Ian Anderson. I think it was Marco Polo. No. Woody Woodpecker does shrink the gap down to 93. Ian Anderson only 100 points back. Crow can't. He's technically, he could tie for the points lead, but Biden would have the advantage. Walter White, that was a big, much-needed day. Hut Strickland loses only 2 spots, so it wasn't that terrible. Two guys who passed him were the ones who finished 1-2, though. Now, some interesting developments now. Jerry Springer has fallen to 35th in points. Donald Fagan has jumped up to 36th. So now he's in position to try and fight for that locked-in spot. Carl Edwards. Yeah, Chick Corea makes the race and loses 2 spots. If you want to know how bad his luck is, he just dropped to the worst of all the full-time drivers. He got jumped by Carl Edwards somehow and Blaze Alexander. Casper the Ghost, Blaze Alexander, Carl Edwards, the only full-time drivers without top 10. Telly Savalas loses 2 spots. Ian Anderson now takes sole possession of the lead for top 5s, breaking a tie with Savalas and Grover Cleveland, who has 5 starts, 4 top 5s. That was a race. I don't know what to say about that race. What I do know what to say is there will be one race next week, and it will be a big one. It's the Northern 500 at Pocono. That should be a good race. Maybe. It's going to be hard to live up to this. A meme-tacular weekend. One of the... Wow. That was crazy. Walter White, just, I don't know how he did that. But he did. Pontiac gets to go to victory lane. And we get to go to Pocono next weekend. Everybody here at the Western Caves Sports Network, this is announcer Western Caves signing off.